This video will be on CFAM 208 Revenue Pie as well as 505 Indebtedness. We're going to start with 208, and I've already had my metrics in my school selected because I have an example to show you that uses these two sheets as well as a couple others to reference 606 and 855, and we're going to go through that today. In CFAM 208, we have Brooklyn selected as the school district. We have the fund detail selected as building fund, Fund 3. And then for the budget unit field, I've selected object. And I've selected that so I could get a little better breakdown of the revenue coming into building fund and show a scenario over time, FY19 through 23 over here on the left, of how the revenue into the building fund has been affected at Brooklyn. We see at the first in 19 that there was private contributions of around $45,000. Into building fund, I'm going to guess that that is money generated from a scoreboard or sponsorships for athletic or activities that they may have. The other segment was compensation loss of fixed assets, probably an insurance claim. Revenue that has come into them in FY19. In 20, it's all private contributions for a total of around $38,000. In 21, pretty much the same, a little increase there on the private contributions. However, in 22, you see a major difference from around $40,000 to almost $11.5 million. And the biggest piece of the pie is the sale of a bond. I thought about this, oh, did they pass a millage? And I had to look at other sheets to confirm whether or not they had passed a millage and what they had done. And that's where sheet 505 comes in, is it explains what they had done with this bonded debt. And then the next year you see that they obviously doing some construction projects as they were approved and have received some academic facilities partnership money in 23. So I'm sure the sale of the bond was leading up, and it was a requirement to complement the academic facilities partnership money that was coming and approved in the following year. So how did they get this bond, or how did that come about? So I went first and checked the ASR. The ASR is a little more dated as far as the way the data comes in, the annual statistical report. It's just the nature of that data. So sometimes it's a little bit delayed. So I thought, well, maybe they've passed a millage in between here. So because I looked at the ASR in 19, their total mills was 39, 20, 39, 21 same, 22 same, so no changes there. And on the state aid notice, I checked my most recent year of 23, and if you look over in the top left, it shows the total mills still at 39. So it doesn't appear that they passed a millage or had a millage increase. So what was it? Well, I looked a little deeper into the ASR and noticed that in 19, there was $21 million of debt. And then in 20, it goes down about $1 million due to payments. And then in 21, it goes down another $1 million due to payments. But then in 22, their debt increases. So obviously there was some sort of restructuring of bonds. I went to look at 505 to get the details of this restructuring. All right, once you're in CFAM 505 indebtedness, you can sort by early payoff date. And I wanted to do that because that kind of shows for their district. And so if you look at down here at the bottom, since I sorted by early payoff date, they paid off bonds in 21, December of 21, and then at the very same time, they increased their debt. Basically, they restructured, consolidated their bonds, and then generated some revenue from that. So indebtedness can show you that. It can also show you how much debt that you have currently, and it kind of shows a cookie trail of what was done, different bond restructurings so that they could generate some more revenue for a new project and now have just one single outstanding debt. So the revenue pie is what we went over today is CFAM 208. You can look at other scenarios and look at over time by selecting all years and selecting your district. And then you choose different funds if you want to look at. This was just one example that I found interesting. So I hope this video on CFAM 208 Revenue Pie and CFAM 505 Indebtedness will help you communicate your financial information to both your patrons and your board And then also for yourself, so that you can kind of know if you're coming in new to this position where you're working with school finances as a superintendent, as a business manager, that it really helps you communicate and be that voice for your district. Thank you.